Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 307. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Our next guest is a video game designer and founder of BareHand, a video game company. Welcome, Edwin Jack.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your company?
Okay. So I think one of the main things for me is my faith. I believe in Yahweh. I believe in Yeshua, aka Jesus Christ. And when I was working in the AAA industry, I didn't really know if the company I was working for aligned with my beliefs. And that was something that was important to me. And shortly, a moment where, some layoffs happened, I was a part of the layoff wave. And I think that was an eye-opener for me. And I decided, hey, okay, I want to start something based on the foundation of my faith. And so thus BareHand was born.
Talk about raising the capital to start BareHands.
So BareHand has been primarily bootstrapped pretty much by myself. I was able to get grant money through organizations like Lawrence Community Works. I was able to get award money from our business accelerator, Entrepreneurship for All, aka E4All. And then the rest of that has been donations from family, friends, and people who really believed in the vision. And so that's pretty much how that we were able to pull some money together to get the business moving.
Talk about being a game creator and the experience that you have or training if someone is interested in that.
Okay. I went to school for game art and design, got my bachelor's in game art and design, and my focus was in animation. So I animate the characters, anything from them running to them talking to them doing actions like swinging a sword or casting a magic spell, things along that nature. You don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree to get started in game design or game development. Really, you just need to have a circle of artists or mentors in that field who can guide you in the right direction. And then you also choose one thing and you stick to it, whether that be your drawing, whether it be you're making music, whether it be you're a spokesperson for a video game, or whether that could be the other business side of things. There's so many different disciplines. When you look at the credits of a video game, there's hundreds, especially, your big companies like Sony, Nintendo. You look at the credits and there's hundreds of people on these projects. So, it all comes down to what you're interested in and just sticking to that.
And what is your primary focus?
My primary focus was in animation, but when I started BareHand, I had to really learn a lot of disciplines, jack of all trades sort of thing, where things like lighting in a game, I didn't really know about. And I had to learn it myself. I had to do the research, or creating a 3D model, 3D sculpt. And then the business side of things, knowing what your target audience is and what problem you're solving for them. So I'm definitely involved in multiple aspects of the business and of game development.
Who is your ideal client?
So our ideal audience will be, right now for the project that we're developing, of the action RPG genre. That the game that we're creating right now is called Seed, CEDE. And what E4All taught me was that you have to have a specific target audience. You can't have like a really broad range of say, oh, we're going to serve all these people. We're just going to serve kids. That's a very broad range. Just say kids, or to just say from the ages of, or adults. So you got to specify the age, 18 plus, and so forth. But that's who our target audience is. We want to build content that's powerful, that's family friendly, that's real. I feel like a lot of projects that we've seen from the Christian the Christian community, there is a lot. I feel like it's not always 100% real, because the Bible, there was people dying in the Bible. There were people dealing with issues that a lot of us have to deal with today. And I feel like that stuff doesn't get shown enough in the content, in Christian content.
What is something that you wish you knew about your industry that you know now that you wish you knew prior to starting in the industry?
I wish that I knew the power that you have as an individual, as a team, and to be able to connect with people. If I can go back in time and start day one, the first thing I would do is just start building relationships with fans, trying to tell people early on what we're doing about the project, and being like kind of really undercover with it. When you're starting out new, I don't really think you have that luxury unless you have loads and loads of money and you can be really quiet about what you're doing. You need to be seen. You need to be seen, and, you have something to express in what you're creating. And a lot of people align with that. And, at first when I started, I was just kind of in the back cave. I was just working on my thing all the time. And, I'm like, oh man, I got to focus on this and I got to knock this out and I got to do this. And it was so much I. And it wasn't like a we type thing. Like, I'm not making this for myself. I'm making this to give to people. So why am I not communicating and talking to them?
Talk about building your team.
So my team, I've met different people, each person on my team in a very special way. Chris Carter, the concept artist, I met him in college. And, when we both graduated, we both aligned with each other spiritually. I had found out that he, was a believer in Yeshua, and I was like, wow, that's awesome, man. And we would just always talk about that. And then when I experienced the layoff, I told him, I said, hey, look, brother, I'm thinking about starting a game development company founded on Christ. And he was just like, bro, I love that. Let's do it. And from there, I pretty much prayed and was just like, I'm not sure, because I started BareHand with about $100 to $200 in my name. So I'm like, I'm not sure how I'm going to get the team to do this thing or whatever, but I'm just going to be faithful. And I met Nick Biondi, the first programmer on Seed. I met him through the Christian Game Developers Conference. And a brother named Charlie, who ran that event, he actually introduced me to Nick. And then, other people, it's just been like Manuel Madera. I met him through LCW, Lawrence Community Works. I was working for them as a instructor for kids to teach kids game design. And my coworkers sent him an email that I send out to people through email blast. And then he loved just the energy of what we're about. And he's also a believer in Christ. So that's pretty much how it's just been like a journey in terms of how I've met, all of our teammates up to this point, our core teammates, and then other people who've been contributors, Anthony Caldwell, Tyler Smith, Ryan Hall, they have all been like extreme, like great contributors to the project and continue to contribute their free time right now until we position ourselves where we can hire more people. David Wayne, he created the music. I met him when I was a childhood friend. And yeah, that's pretty much, how teammates have come about.
We as consumers, what is something that we don't know about your industry that we should know?
That's a good one. I would say how games bring people together. I've met so many great people through games, and it's like before there was on the internet, people you came over someone's house and you sat down and you played video games with them on the same screen. And now there's online features and things. And a lot of people, like, they come to meet in person from playing video games with people online. They meet people at conventions and things like that, or, build friends. I actually know someone who met his wife through a game that he played with her online. It's a very, very, like, I'd say the gaming community is probably one of my favorites. And I would say that's one thing that someone wanted to know about the gaming industry and in general I think that's the most important thing to me.
Let's talk about an attitude of gratitude. And I want you to fill in the blanks.
Okay.
Thank you, pandemic, because.
Thank you, pandemic, because I was able to pause and understand what's important. And I think the one word that was really, and it's still right now for me, a key word that I'm meditating on is connection. Because end of the day, it's like, we all go out here and go to work, do this, do that. But human life is more valuable than the paper we make or the car we drive or anything like that.
The word is listening. What is that resounding sound or that message that your generation is saying that we should be listening to?
Renewal. I think, that one word, because there are certain things that have worked in the past or it hasn't worked in the past. We live in a country where it was once slaves here. So, we renewed and changed what was once a normal thing. And I think that's important for, removing a lot of the traditions or things that are blocking us from really being connected to each other is renewal. That's actually what the symbol of our video game. If you look at the logo, that's one of the things that it really speaks on is that renewal, to be liberated from things that are shackling us and preventing us from growing and connecting.
What can we do right now to support BareHands?
So the main thing is spreading the word and letting people know that we exist and what energy we're about. I think that's the most important thing to me. Like I said, the connection. Just connecting with you is great to me. One more person that knows about us that can feel our energy and what we're really about. There's companies out here that, they say they're about one thing, but you see their actions and they're about something else. I truly believe in what we're doing, and it's a lifestyle for me. It's not something that I clock in and clock out. It's something that, I mentor kids. I'm really involved in my community where I live. And so I think that's the most important thing. Any type of venture capital or things that, we definitely need venture capital. And whether we get that from a venture capitalist or whether we get that through fans, I believe one way or another that we're abundant and that whatever we need to do what we need to do to give back will be provided.
I'll introduce you to some venture capitalists when we conclude. I'll make an introduction.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those that are listening, if some venture capitalists are listening, or people, when you talk about connections, are listening, how can they connect with you?
They can reach out to me, my email, Edwin, EDWIN, at BareHand, BareHand.co. And they can also, there is a contact form on our website, BareHand.co. They can reach out to us there to connect and build that relationship.
Talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered, Edwin?
I want to be remembered for the impact and for the energy because I believe that when I physically leave Earth, that my energy will still be here. That's with Christ. I mean, it's facts that whether someone believes in Christ or not, the energy is there. You hear the name all the time. You hear the way and the culture. I don't even say culture. You hear the guidelines that he left for people to have a high quality of life and to have a powerful life. And that's something that I want to leave too. I want to leave great energy for people. That's like some leaders I look up to, like, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, like their energy. They left energy here and in a way for others to carry and to build upon that. So I think that's what I would like to leave behind when I physically pass this earth. That's what I would love to leave behind, and just allow God to just express God through myself, and however that's done, to really touch a life, to really bring that burning passion and love, the type of love that is expressed globally, for people to really feel what that's like. I think that's what's important to me.
Talk about your faith and being a young man. And when they talk about Christianity or the church, they talk about that there's a great falling away.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to be so strong in your faith and your conviction, how did you build up your faith and maintain in a society that's not moving more towards Christ, but away from Christ? And when we read about the book of Revelations, it talks about that it's going to be this great exodus. And we're seeing it, especially with COVID. There's a shift spiritually.
Yes, absolutely.
And so talk about that being a young man and confessing and professing your faith.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that many people get the wrong idea about what God really is about and what Christ really is about. The first thing they think about is, like they're being controlled or something, like, okay, if I believe in God, I'm supposed to be some type of puppet or something like that. And the first thing that God gave us is free will. God gave us the ability to say, I believe in you, I don't want to. And to me, that's love. Think about parents. Like, I'm mentoring kids now that one kid told me, he's like, I don't think that, I should automatically like obey adults or something like that. And for me, I thought about what he said and I'm like, yeah, it's not about you automatically obeying. It's about you wanting to listen to your parent. And it's the same thing with God. It's about, I don't believe in God because I'm being controlled or no one forced anything on me. Don't get it twisted. I want to, because I've seen, we all make mistakes, and I've seen my life where I made every decision and where it took me, and just realizing that there's a lot that's beyond my control. And I was the type of person to really try to control every situation. And, I had to really realize that. I think that's one of the main things. And especially for us as a company who is built on that foundation, I think having people know the truth. The Bible says we shall worship in spirit and truth. And I think having people know the truth of what God really is about, and understanding that they are more than just a physical being, that they are emotional, mental, and spiritual being, and to take for themselves and really build their own personal relationship with God, with the center of all creation, instead of taking pretty much what other people saying things like, oh, you lie, you're going to go to hell and things like that. And, that's actually a lie. So, it's like we're the Bible says that we're not judged. That's why Christ came, because that people kept doing it. We kept sinning. We kept doing things and then repenting for it. And that Christ came and he was the renewal. That's just like I said, the word renewal. It's like, okay, this didn't work anymore. So here's the solution. I think if that answers your question, I think that's my point of view on being in the generation that I am. And to be honest with people, the whole thing, like, it's either you choose yourself or it being chosen for you. There's people worshiping celebrities out here and these idols, and they're just a human being just like you. They did not create the universe. They did not create this planet or the sun or anything like that. So yeah, that's my perspective on that. Excuse the honking. I don't know who that is outside. Somebody's.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Someone's watching this video and they're saying, I wonder why the design on Edwin's face.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So this is very connected to what we're talking about, because I've always been interested in African tribal culture. And I was born here in the U.S., but my father's side is from the Caribbean and my mother's side is African-American and Cherokee Indian. And I was just like, man, that'd be so great to like paint my body like they're doing in different cultures and, in different African cultures. And the more I got older, I wanted to do it, and I never did it because I was just like, oh, what people are going to think about me, what people are going to think I'm weird. And, it's just not common here in the US. And I said, one day I woke up, as an adult, I was like, I'm going to do it. And when I painted it originally, it was a cross, and it meant that there's always spiritual war, always. And that was back in like 2017, 2018, when I first started doing it. And when people would ask me, I would tell them that. I was like, they're like, what does it mean? I'm like, there's spiritual war. And then the meaning of it evolved, and it means ascension. Ascension out of spiritual challenges, mental challenges, physical challenges, emotional, whether that be somebody that's trying to overcome and ascend out of an illness, whether it be somebody that's trying to ascend out of some shackles that's preventing them from connecting with God. That's what it means. That's pretty much what it means for me. And honestly, I feel like as an African American, I feel like we get very Americanized. We get Americanized if we're truly rooted in the African roots. I want to dig more into that. I want to, know more about where I come from and my skin color and the culture and things in that nature. Some people see this and they get the wrong idea. And I'm like, well, you're from America. You haven't seen other parts of the world where people are expressing themselves about their spirituality through body paint. That's pretty much what it means. And it's actually a bird. This is the head of the bird. This is the tail. And these are the wings.
Now, you had said you started it in 2017, 2018. Mm-hmm. At that point, were you working a traditional job? And have you experienced wearing paint to work? Or is it your expression now that you're an owner?
I definitely worked. I started BareHand 2014 is when I started the early stages of the business. But I still was working at places like art schools, and I worked at Lawrence Community Works. I was teaching kids, working an after school program there at Movement City, drove Uber, all types of things. And I wore it everywhere. And I never had an issue. When I did wear it, I never had an issue in any of these opportunities for it to be taken off. And yeah, it is to me, that's like an Indian culture, when someone comes to work and how they're dressed and the things that they have on their face. And, who's to tell them that they can't do that? That's their culture. Can't just Americanize them, right? It's like, they come from India and they want to have opportunity here, and you can't tell them like, oh, well, you got to look like us. What is that? So, I did wear it in those places. And
not to cut you off, but did you wear it for the interview?
For this one?
No. For any interview for the job, you said you worked for the art schools and you worked for Uber. When you interviewed for those jobs, did you have your face painted?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Uber is the one that I did not. I think I just happened that day to just not have it on. And I just but it wasn't purposefully. I just took the picture but I was wearing that. And when people hopped in the car, I think out of like the hundreds of people that I picked up, I'd say 2 people looked skeptical of hopping in the car with me. But for the most part, people just asked when they got in the car. They're like, what is this? And then I would tell them, and most people were intrigued by it. They're like, wow, that's amazing. It really touched me. Thank you for sharing that.
And thank you for that, because we know that we are in different times. And even for myself, even though we say that we like to express ourselves, and I know I was sharing a story when I went natural and literally wore my hair in an afro, and I have like a massive afro, and it's salt and pepper. And my mom is still living, 93 years old. And this is years ago. I'll say like I've been natural for 10 years, and I was working a traditional job. And that was a big thing for me, like going to conferences. Do I wear my hair natural, right? And my mom is like, things have changed. And I'm saying things have changed, but they have not changed. And so what's good for them to do, and it's not necessarily good for us to do. And you mentioned other cultures like India or people that are from the Muslim faith or whatever. They, and I do have friends that are from Africa, and that they would wear their hair the way they wear their hair, and it was accepted. But for us as African Americans, it's not fully accepted. And there are even, I know, young ladies that are younger than I am, much younger than I am, and they were on cruise ships and their hair was natural. And they were told to go back into their room and make a change.
Wow.
And so, and we're talking about this is as early as in 2000s. So I'm just saying, and I do know that even when I started wearing my hair, and I live in Las Vegas, when I started wearing my hair natural to church, it's almost like I revolutionized women to just say, I can wear my hair natural. I mean, it's so many things around us expressing ourselves culturally that can create, we are trendsetters and we are disruptors, but it can cost us to make those changes where we're just being who we are. I appreciate you sharing your honesty in terms of, were you completely open and honest in all situations? And thank you for sharing about that Uber, because someone's listening and we know what we're dealing with in 2021.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
where we would think that even my mom is like, I can't believe we're fighting the same fight 93 years later.
Yeah.
It's a travesty, not just in culturally what we wear, what we say, driving while Black. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we're still dealing with that
Absolutely.
we're saying this has been hundreds and hundreds of years that we're dealing with the same stuff. So that was the reason.
Right. Absolutely. And I definitely commend you for that, because that's one thing that just for our Black women, that I am pro natural myself. I'm like, look, you don't have to wear weave. You don't have to get a perm. You could grow your hair out and put it in dreads. There's so many things that you can do to your hair. And, I feel like part of that is the Americanized thing. The women were in a different part of the world. They might not do that. They might be like, hey, I'm gonna wear my natural hair. That's something I definitely am for. I don't want Black women to feel like they have to do all of these other things to change into something else. It's like, no, God gave you this texture of hair. Like, use what you have.
Edwin, what is your zone of genius?
My superpower is perseverance. I was just telling someone the other day, like, that perseverance that's a God trait. It had to come from somewhere. So many people have it. And I'm blessed, and I can truly say that I have that. I wouldn't be sitting here on this call with you if I didn't have it, because like I told you, I started BareHand in 2015, and the business has still yet to raise over $100,000 to be able to, games cost on average $2 to $5 million to make. And regardless of that, I didn't give up. And along the way, I've met so many great people. I've met my teammates that I have who contribute so many hours of free time. I was able to, when I did work Uber, I stacked my money up. And when I got enough, I paid some of them contractor services for a month or for 60 days. And through all of that, managed to get something that people can actually play, to get something for people to play and actually it'd be fun and things that could take anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, $200,000. And, managed to do that with a small percentage of like probably about 14K. And took me to persevere and say, okay, I'm going to make the most of what I have, what we have, and then put it in front of people. So I would say that's my main superpower. No matter how many times I get, no matter how many times I get knocked down, I get back up every single time. And it makes me want to go harder and understand what it is, why I got knocked down, why I got the no, so that I can do better. I saw Kobe Bryant interview, and he said, man, he didn't even focus on winning. He just focused on just playing great basketball. And the winning was an aftermath of him playing great basketball. And I think that lesson is a key lesson that a lot of people don't worry about trying to get so much of trying to get the dollar. Worry about what's inside of you that's going to get it. Don't worry about, because we all started without work. We all started in the womb. Nobody started with a job in the womb, at least to my knowledge. Everybody, we all started with the traits that we have, and then we came out of the womb, and then we're here in the world. That's my superpower.
And I like to say, Edwin, no just means next option.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I come to understand that some of the opportunities that we got, I look back and I'm like, man, if we took that, I wouldn't have been able to do this. I wouldn't have been able to take. Right now, our game has blockchain and NFTs in it. And we are working with a company called Engine. And I think the technology is revolutionary. This technology is going to allow people who play games, who put so many hours into games, to actually earn money from all that time that they're putting into it. So not only just the companies will benefit, and not only just the personalities like the streamers and people who have that skill, but your average person can jump in and earn. That's like right now, your average person can buy a stock. Your average person can go buy cryptocurrency. And if I took one of the opportunities from the past, we wouldn't have been able to be on this path right now with blockchain technology. I highly doubt it. I know now that, and this was one of the elements that I was like, this is the element that was missing, that I feel that I wanted in our game, because it's a way to connect the digital world and the real world. And using this technology can also bring people in one place and socialize and connect with each other. So yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
Edwin, I want you to have a monologue, and I want you to name the person, living or not. And this person has inspired you so much. Name the person, and what are you saying to this person?
I'm going to say my father, because, my father, he's shown me how you can take and transform something. He really showed me that, like, the chips are down, you can just transform that situation. And, I don't think fathers get enough credit for what fathers do. Like, I do think men, like, I know we're in a society now where people say, oh, men, like, women aren't like created equally, and men get all the power and all these things like that. And, to an extent, I can agree with that for sure. And I do believe in women being created equally, and we should cherish our women, and everyone comes out of a woman. But I think specifically the word fathers is like the tough love. The mothers are the nurturers. They're to really nurture and care for a child the way no one else can. Like, no man can do that for a child. I think I would dedicate what you're asking me, I would dedicate it to my father.
And fathers are super important. I agree with you.
Yeah. Especially today, man. Especially today, I just see for this generation, it's important that young boys are being raised to be men and to take responsibility as the man. Because there's a lot of young guys out here that leave and don't hold up responsibility for when there's a child born. To me, that's not a man. It's just absolutely not. Or being held accountable for your actions and being held and owning up to it and not running away from that.
Edwin, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
If I was conducting this interview, I would ask myself, where am I? Where's my energy? And the answer to that, where I am right now and where my energy is I lack nothing. I spent years when I first started BareHand, I always felt I lacked something. Oh, don't have enough money. Oh, don't have enough teammates to do this. Oh, I got to get more, only to realize that I had everything I needed. And I felt like I was so blind to that I didn't make the most of what I had in those moments of my life. Lack is an illusion. It's a lie. Just as I said earlier, your attributes got you a job or an opportunity. For most people, it wasn't the job itself, or it's like who you are and the God attributes inside of you. That's what put you there. And whether it was through your parents or whatever, that's the question I would ask. And that's the answer I would have for myself. Because a lot of people, I was just talking to one of mentees, one of the kids I mentor, and I said, all right, now that we're past all the surface level stuff, where are you? And where's your energy? And he asked me, what did I mean by that? And I said, well, I'll share with you. And I just told him what I just told you. I said, the energy I lack is being removed from me. I'm just not feeling that anymore. I don't feel like I lack anything. And then he told me where he was. So I think that's the question. Yeah, that's what it will be.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Your favorite color?
Red.
Your first job?
Pal Jack's Pizza. I was 11 years old.
The last movie you saw?
Bruce Almighty.
You relax doing what?
Playing video games.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Sade.
Your favorite dance song?
I'll just say one, Heartbreak Hotel by Michael Jackson.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Avocado.
Your favorite month?
December.
Work out or hit the couch?
Work out.
Edwin Jack, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, feel free to share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you. And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
All right. So once again, my email is Edwin, EDWIN, at BareHand, BareHand. You see it on the shirt, on the hoodie, .co. And you could also reach out to us through the website, BareHand.co. We have an email. Please subscribe to our email list. We will be, shooting out all type of announcements. We shoot out inspirationals, news on the game, all of that stuff. So please subscribe to that. Our Instagram is It's BareHand, ITS, BareHand. And Twitter is the same thing. And I believe that is it. But we definitely prefer to be connected with people through email because, yes, we just believe that's the best form of contact.
Thank you, Edwin. That's a wrap.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.